So this is the Volvo EX30, and this is Volvo's smallest SUV.
Yeah, it's like a tiny crossover. I was expecting this to be a little bit bigger when I saw it in person, but it's actually smaller than the XC40, which I was quite surprised, and that car is already small enough.
So this is actually 167 inches long, which is 18 inches shorter than the XC60.
That's crazy.
That's huge. That's a big difference, right?
Yeah, this is definitely like a city zippy car to buy, you know, like that's what it's really aimed towards, the individual that's want like a tiny little car to zip around in the city and not worry about, you know, having issues parking or getting into tight spaces.
I love driving this car for a week. I love parking it. I love driving it. It's fast. It's powerful. It has 422 horsepower, which is so powerful, and you really feel it when you merge onto the highway.
I personally don't love it as much as you do, you know, like yes, it's quick and zippy, but like, and it's comfortable and it's smooth, but it just feels a little bit cheap, you know?
I don't agree at all. I feel like the car feels so luxurious. And for someone to say that you don't really love the way it looks, this is very similar in some ways to the Tesla because it's so minimalistic. Everything is built into the screen, right?
Okay.
You don't have a screen in front of you. This doesn't have heads-up display, which I really wish it did.
I don't care about that.
That's
not what makes it feel cheap to me. What makes it feel cheap to me is this eco plastic stuff. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, they use a lot of recycled materials. It's supposed to be eco-friendly. I think that they did a great job with it.
And there's like a lot of little plastic bits around the car. I mean, most cars have plastic now, and like there's little nitpicks, and again, these are nitpicks, like the Harman Kardon sign on the sound bar over here reflects in the window, and I can't unsee it now. So every time I'm driving, I see it all the time. So if I was the owner of this car, I'd probably remove it just so I don't see it in the reflection of the window.
Okay, aside from that reflection though, I think it's a really cool idea that they put the soundbar across the entire front. And why they did that was they put a bigger speaker in the front, but they also removed all speakers from the doors. So now you have extra storage space in both doors, which is a really, really cool,
I do
smart
like the space.
idea.
I do have a lot here. It's like padded and leathery, so like it dampens the sound as well.
The handles on the side are really cool and minimalistic. It kind of blends in nicely.
The interior cabin, the way they designed it is pretty nice. It's just little nitpicks that bother me. I don't like the recycled material. I understand we're trying to save the environment. That's great, but it just it makes the car look less luxurious. Like on the outside, I think it's a beautiful looking car. Like I think it has a sporty vibe. I love the Thor hammer lights. All that's there. It's just when you step in this interior, it's like a cross between like a Tesla and a Volvo. And in some ways that's great, but in other ways, I think, you know, they went in the wrong directions. Like, let me give you another example of a little annoyance that I have. Like if I put my hand like this when I drive, which a lot of dudes do, it covers the driving sensor, and I always get warnings on the screen that it's failing to be able to detect me driving. Besides that, Android Automotive has been great so far. I like this new screen style. It's definitely bigger than the screen on the XC40. I can see more. It's tilted in the perfect position, so I'm not staring down like I am on a Tesla Model 3, which is great. Apple
Also
CarPlay.
the perfect size. 12.3 inches is a perfect size.
I think it could be a little bigger, but it's big enough. Like I'm not gonna take a point off for it, right?
They've come a long way compared to their 9-inch screen.
Oh yeah, that thing was way too small.
This is great.
No, this is fine. It's
huge
fine.
Improvement. So let's talk about the price point for a minute. So this car starts at $57,000. That's for rear wheel drive. This is a dual motor.
Okay.
And for this dual motor, this is the Ultra package that we are driving. And this is only $62,000.
Right.
Which I think is actually priced really well. I know you said it's a bit high.
I think it's a bit high. I mean, you're getting a significantly smaller car compared to the competition. So let's talk about some competitors. The Model Y, bigger car, right?
Right.
More
similar price point.
Similar price point, but you get more space. You get
more range, a lot more range.
A lot more range.
Yeah.
And I feel like that car has been refined a lot more than this one. This feels just a little bit too new in the sense that like, okay, this is the first iteration of the XC30. What's the long-term outlook for this car? You know, like how's it going to perform in 2 years? We kind of already know what to expect from a Model Y. So it's hard to justify this price tag because this was supposed to be Volvo's affordable EV. And I think it's a little bit too close to the other competitors to be affordable. Like I think this should be in the lower 50s.
But it is a really zippy, powerful car. Like, you know, you get 400 pound-feet of torque, 422 horsepower.
It's fast.
You have 400 kilometers of range.
0 to 100 kilometers in what,
3.6 seconds.
That's fast.
And you really do feel it.
Yeah.
You really do.
We did have an issue with the charging though, right?
We did. So when we charged it to 100%, It only said, I think it was 286 kilometers. It says 78% right now.
Yeah, you drove it yesterday.
230 kilometers on it.
Which makes no sense. So I think the software is
it's glitchy. Something's going on.
Not detecting the proper range of this car.
Right.
Right? Because like we're not driving it super hard. We're driving it normally. We're not doing 96 kilometers in a school zone like Marquez. We're driving it at a normal pace. Okay? And it's still showing 231 kilometers.
The other thing I don't love about this car, which you obviously don't seem to mind because you have a Tesla Model 3, I don't like that you can see how fast you're going only on the screen. I wish I had it in front of me. You are used to it, but I'm not. So every time I want to check how fast I'm going, I have to look away from the road for a minute rather than having to, look at if I had heads-up display, it would be easier.
Now we have to talk about these seats. I have some nitpicks. You probably don't, right? You like them?
I think they're great.
You think they're comfortable?
I also love the look of these seats.
No, I think they look great. The fake leather looks great. They're pretty comfortable seats, not as comfortable as the XC60, for example. The mesh top over here feels comfortable for my head. I do notice some staining over here, but that could be from the previous driver who had this car to review. The controls to move the seats, not my favorite. I wish they were 2 buttons instead of 1. I find it very difficult to get it into the perfect position. Like right now, my butt's a little bit on the slant, and I want it to be a little bit at an angle, but it's hard.
I think they're pretty easy.
It's hard to get to that position. And of course, you can push the button once if you want to adjust the lumbar support. That's fine. I have no complaints about that, but it's not my favorite controls.
So I love this middle console here. The middle console is really cool because it has a good amount of space for 2 cups if you want to use them, or you can put this in part way. You can just use 1 cup holder if you want, or it can go all the way in if you don't want to use it at all. And then you have more space down here.
And for a small car, it just makes the car feel bigger.
Yeah. And then you even have more storage down here as well. When you want to open this, you can hide some stuff down there.
There's also the Type-C ports in there too.
You have 2 of those down there as well. And if you want to open your windows, it's really interesting because you can put the front windows down with these 2 buttons here. But if you want to put the rear windows down, you have to push this. So when this lights up, then you can put the 2 windows down.
Yeah, see that, I don't mind them being in the middle. I'm cool with that. But like having to press the rear first to put the other windows down seems like an extra step that most cars don't have to take.
Another way to make the car seem more minimalistic.
Right, exactly. And this is like glossy plastic, so again, it feels a little bit cheaper. You do have 2 wireless charging pads on the bottom. They're massive, and you can easily fit 2 phones down there to keep your phones charged while you're driving.
So I really love the 2 side mirrors. They're frameless.
They look awesome.
And they look another minimalistic look, right?
Yeah.
They look really cool, and they're really small, but very efficient. The thing I don't love about them is that you have to, if you want to adjust the mirrors, you have to do it through your screen.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
So that's kind
pretty
of annoying
standard for a lot of newer EVs, like doing it through the screen.
It is, but if you're driving, if you start driving and you realize, oh shit, I have to adjust the mirrors, it's really hard to do while you're driving.
Well, you shouldn't be doing it while you're driving. You should
then you'd have to pull over
and be safe. Put cones around your car, a flag, and then adjust your mirrors.
Okay, well, most cars, you can just adjust it with a button on the side.
Right.
While you're driving, no big deal.
Yeah, you can't do that on Tesla either. You got to do it through the software as well.
Right, which I don't love.
One thing you did mention, Andrea, was the mirror.
Yes, I tried to look at myself in the mirror
Typical.
the other day, and it was 6 p.m., so it was dark out, and there was no light. You couldn't see yourself.
Open it up.
Look.
Wow.
No light.
Check under here. There's nothing. There has to be.
No, there isn't. I
Really?
tried. Yeah, no, you couldn't see yourself.
Well, for someone who likes to stare at
Someone like
himself
you who's so
all
vain
day,
and always wants to look at yourself, you can't do it at night.
you
have to make sure you can do it
really
when
breaks
it's
my heart.
daytime.
So I'm going to have to bring my own personal mirror with a light if I want to look at myself at night.
Right. And then I turned on these 2 lights up here.
Right.
That didn't help. So Volvo considers this a mini SUV. This does not feel like an SUV in the back seat. It feels really crowded, and you don't have a lot of leg room. My seat is set to where I would normally have it when I sit in the front. So the seat is not that far back, but I still don't have a lot of leg room at all. You have no hump in the middle, which is great. So the person sitting in the middle would feel comfortable. You have some storage back here. You can pull this out, which is nice. You can program your window. You can set your windows to go up and down here. You have your 2 buttons here. You have 2 USB outlets here. You have a bit of storage in the door, not much. You cannot put this down, so you don't have anywhere to put a cup or a water bottle, which is unfortunate. The seats are comfortable. Windows are small, but you do have this panoramic sunroof, which is great, so you don't feel claustrophobic back here. And you have a lot of light.
So this is what the EX30 looks like on the outside. It is very small. Like, look at me and look at the car, okay? Look at me and then look at the car. And you can tell by my wingspan, it's not that big, but I do like this color. It's a cloud blue. It's very minimalistic. That's what I love about Volvo. They have a lot of these pastel-y colors to choose from. This just happens to be one of them. Two-tone finish with the black top. Andrew doesn't like that, but I personally do. I think it gives the car some character. You have 20-inch tires because this is an upgraded model. It's all-season tires, so good for 4 seasons of the year. To get into the car is a little bit interesting. You don't have a traditional key. You get this little black thing, okay? And as long as it's on you, the car will open up. Like you approach it, you know, you push this little button over here, or you slide your finger rather, and the car opens up. You close the door and then you just walk away and it'll automatically lock behind you. You have a little bit of turning indicators over here. Of course, you have those borderless mirrors that I absolutely love, and I just love the whole swooping effect that this car has. Now, it doesn't have the Tesla charger in this car. I don't think Volvo is doing that yet, but obviously this car can be quick charged if needed. Now, frunk lovers, okay? If you're a frunk lover, you're not gonna love this frunk because it's a little bit on the smaller side. It's a little cabin, it opens up. You have a tiny little space, you put some cables, but here's a little Easter egg. You have some imagery from Volvo. It's a moose, which is great for Canada, and a car. Pistons are super strong. They hold up quite well. They feel absolutely solid. And of course, you get a nice thunk when you close it. Now, I absolutely love these Thor lights. Like, these things are beautiful. When they lock the car, or when you lock the car rather, they kind of light up and then swoop away, which is really, really cool. I think the front of the car looks really neat. They didn't put some sort of tacky little grille in front of it. You just got the Volvo logo, and I think this is how an electric front should look. Now, this wiper is probably one of the tiniest wipers I've seen on a car. This car is definitely not compensating, okay? But because this car is so small, you don't got a lot of visibility in the back. Now, it's fine. Like, I didn't find it to be too small, but you'll definitely notice it if you're used to a bigger rear view mirror. Now, to get inside the car, you have a couple of options. You could either kick your legs underneath it and then realize nothing will happen, or you can push this button right here and then the car will open up and you'll absolutely see what you can fit inside of here. Unfortunately, it's not much, right? Like, I mean, this is tiny. Like, I fit my kid's hockey bag in here, but my hockey bag, you have to really squish in. It's a very, 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 very small trunk. But you do have a little space over here where you can open up, place your cables, place your mats or anything underneath. And of course, you have a privacy cover over here so people looking into your car can't see any valuables. So the bottom line, is the Volvo EX30 worth it? Look, I really want to love this car, and I do like it a lot. Like, there's so many good things going for it, but I feel like the price is a bit too close to competitors that give you more for the money. I feel like if they can just shave off like $7,000 on this bad boy, this would be a lot more popular. Plus, there's only so much inventory right now in Canada, enough to serve a lot of you, but how is that going to change in the future? Because most of this car is still being built in China, and with all the tariffs in place, it's not a good outlook for future buyers. Either way, keep an eye on this, maybe put on your short list. But yeah, a lot of good things going for it. I think it's almost there. It just needs a bit more time. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.